Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making this pretty cool design. It's called a cartoon cake tumbler. One of the first things you want to do is go on to Pinterest. I use Pinterest a lot for inspiration, okay? You can type in pop art cakes, cartoon cakes, or even comic book cakes. Okay, these are cool cakes those are real that you see. But we're going to be putting this on a tumbler. Okay, any design that you choose, you need to keep in mind that you're going to need to outline every bit of your design in black. Okay, that's kind of what helps it pop. All right, so depending on how much work you want to put in, it's going to be dependent upon the design that you choose. Okay, this is actually the inspiration photo that I chose. I absolutely love the blue and the pink. I am going to be altering it a little bit. Number one, I am not going to be doing a 3-tier. Mine is going to be a 2-tier, meaning the bottom part is going to be the tumbler and the second tier is going to be the topper. Okay. But again, just go on Pinterest, get inspired, and let's go ahead and get into this tutorial. Okay, so in this set, you get a lot of different things, guys. I really took my time and made a really cool set so that you guys could create this easy. Of course, you get the sleeve. It already has the icing on it. You get to paint that whatever color and glitter it whatever color you want. This takes the 16-ounce plump line from Tipsy Magnolia. I'm going to be using a junior plump. Okay, you get one icing ring in the set, but you are able to purchase more icing rings if you like. So if you see an inspiration photo that has multiple rings, go ahead and purchase those. You also get a cake plate. All right, so you get the cake plate and then the stand. You could choose to put those together, in which I did, or you can go ahead and just do the cake plate. Okay, it is a very nice size, so it's not too bulky. It fits very nicely onto the sleeve. All right, you also get a topper and an icing ring for the topper. Okay, the topper again fits the 16-ounce plumps from Tipsy Magnolia. And one thing I do love about that line is that the lid is flat. Okay, so it makes it a lot easier for me to adhere the topper. Okay, the topper has a straw hole already, so very easy to add that on to your lid. Okay, and you get some extra goodies. It's all listed on the website, so if you're interested, head on over to sculptry.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Again, I'm going to be painting this blue and pink. Okay, I'm using acrylic based paint, water based acrylic paint, and my brush, and I'm just going to paint this on. Okay, one of the questions that I get a lot is, could you spray paint it? Yes, you can, but certain spray paints kind of bleed into this, or like even Sharpies, they kind of bleed into the filament, which is what these sleeves are made out of. So you do want to be careful with that. A water-based paint is kind of perfect for these kind of projects. Okay, so I'm going to utilize this time while you watch me paint, okay, to talk about what you're seeing. You are seeing like a rebrand. I do believe that you can always like reinvent, as life kind of throws a ball in your court, you know, you can kind of pivot. I definitely believe in the pivot. You guys have seen me. If you've been following me for a while, you have seen me pivot. Okay. And I literally am living in the pivot as I speak, basically doing what is best for me. And so I've gotten a lot of messages from you guys, either on IG or even emails, that you're not understanding why my website is passcoded. You're not understanding, why, it's not open to the public anymore. And I'm going to use this time to kind of talk about that. So my husband and I are going through something, and we've been going through something for a while. Those of you that have been in my mentorship group, you guys know. And it really started when our kids all went to college. I think that we as parents were really good at being there for them, and we kind of neglected each other. Also, I would say that we kind of changed. Maybe our needs have changed and what we kind of want out of a partner. Okay. Excuse me. But I was currently financially dependent upon my husband for bills. And this is probably TMI, but I'm putting it out there. I was, literally only working on my business since I started, in 2021, I want to say I went full time. So my husband and I had an agreement, and he was going to be the sole provider financially. And again, with everything that's going on with him and I, we have kind of decided that we need to kind of pivot, if that makes sense. And so I'm going back to work. That's the long story short. I'm going back to work, and he and I are going to be separating for a period of time, in hopes that we can kind of rebuild and rekindle what we feel like we have, but maybe we lost. And in doing that, I realized I'm not going to be able to work full time and complete orders to the public. Like, I didn't want to set myself up for failure. Failure to me would look like me getting a slew of orders and having to send out messages saying, sorry, their order's late, or having to refund people because their orders are late. Okay, so now I've rebranded. Instead of the Sculpistry Squad, we are the Sculpistry Club, and we're an exclusive club. You can join for as little as $15 a month, but you're not joining $15 a month and getting nothing. You're joining $15 a month and getting a box still delivered to your house, which I think is pretty awesome. Okay. I still can't have unlimited spots, guys, because that would kind of be defeating the purpose. So I only am going to be having 50 slots. I'm actually at 43 right now. So here at June 24th, that is 7 available slots left. So if you're interested, keep in mind that membership opens on the 15th of every month and closes on the 3rd. Okay. And you have various options you will see on the website, which is still sculpistry.com, that you can join for 15 a month, or and that's the handle box, or you can join for 25 a month and get a variety of different things: toppers, handles, pedestals, rings. The only thing you don't get in the $25 box is a tumbler sleeve. Okay. And that's because I have the last tier, which is called the sleeve box. You do get a tumbler sleeve, and this sleeve is in that box. Okay. Everyone loved it. You guys are going to love making it too. And in that sleeve box, which is 55 a month, you also get a tumbler. Okay, so I really like being able to give everyone a tumbler, so that way you don't have to, everything's there. You just have to literally paint, glitter, seal. But yeah, so that's what's really going on. Again, I it's bittersweet because I literally wanted to do my business full time, but you know, life is all about the pivot, and to I'm not afraid to pivot. Okay. So again, I thank you guys for your support. Like every time you watch my videos, like, comment, share, it is support. And I thank you for that. If you're not interested in, joining a mentorship group, I totally understand. There's lots of them out there. And, I know everybody can't join all of them. However, I would love, you to support. I do still have a free group. It's called Sip and Sculpt, or Sculpt and Sip. And that is a free group. You can just post your sculpts. We can talk about 3D in that group. Okay. But yeah, that is the 411. Those of you that kind of do know me know I don't really get too personal, especially with the internet. You know what I'm saying? But James is his name, and we will be fine. I do believe that we just have to find ourselves again and see, where the pivot takes us. Okay, so ready for the next step. I do need to let you guys know you're going to be needing Model Magic Black. That's what I'm going to be using in order to outline all of my areas, wherever I need to outline it, honestly. And I also will let you guys know you do have two options. I chose to glitter mine first, and then after I glittered it, I was like, oh my goodness, is the ring gonna fit on the sleeve now that it is glittered? I was like, literally on my live in the sculpture club group, I was like, oh my gosh, guys, what am I gonna do? But if you seal your glitter good, okay, you really need to seal it good, maybe 2 times, let it dry, you can go ahead and slide this on. Also, if you're using like a fine glitter or 0.15 glitter, it should slide on. Okay. If you're using some type of chunky glitter, it ain't gonna work. You're gonna need to add your rings first, and then you can kind of glitter and paint after your rings are on there. Okay. But I went ahead and slowly kind of just put this on. And that's because the rings are a snug fit onto the sleeves. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Also, I'm going to tell you, once you have your ring on there, go ahead and like step back and make sure that it's not, you know, slanted in a way, because sometimes when you're working with something so close up front, it may look slanted. Okay. Okay, Crayola Model Magic. Okay, not the one in the bucket. The ones that come in the packs that come in different colors are going to be your friend. I'd like to go ahead and tell you guys, just make sure that your area is free from glitter, but there was no way my area was going to be free from glitter. Okay, so you'll see. If my stuff had glitter on it, I just went ahead later on, you'll see, and I just took some black paint and I touched it up. Okay, but you just want to roll this out. I don't know if you guys watch my videos. I can kind of tell that y'all not really watching my videos, which is interesting to me because you guys asked me for free tutorials. Here they are. But in my funnel cake video, this is the same thing I did. You're rolling out little canes of this clay. This again is air dry clay. It's spongy. It's kind of, sticks to each other. Be careful. If you want it to be, not stuck, you need to make sure you keep it separate. Okay. But I rolled it out on my table, and I'm basically going to outline it. Here I'm kind of looking back at my inspiration photo, because I'm like, do I need to add it to the top and the bottom, or just the top? And you got to add it to the top and the bottom, y'all. So again, it kind of took a lot of the work out, but you're still gonna have to put in some work. So I'm starting with the bottom here and I'm just adding it on. I felt, and I was telling my group, that I felt like I did this a little thick, meaning the snake of, or the cane of clay. I did this a little thick and I wish I had done it a little thinner. Okay, but that's up to you. It's your choice. Here I'm going to be adding a dab of hot glue, just to kind of keep them in place. That's all I'm doing. I'm not globbing, hot glue onto, the area. I'm just putting it there and kind of just pushing my clay up against that icing ring. Okay. And that is just so that way, um, I'm just holding the Model Magic in place. How it will all stay in place is once we add our epoxy. Okay. But go ahead and make sure you look at your designs. You see if your design calls for thick black or thin black. You know, up to you guys what you want to do. But once you, and I said in the beginning, like I said in the beginning, be mindful that anything you decide to do, while this is fun, anything you decide to do, because this is a cartoon comic book style cake, you got to outline it. Okay, so any sprinkles, like you get sprinkles in the set, and any sprinkles you get, yep, you got to outline them. Okay, so that completes the look. I chose to do an outline on both of the rings for the sleeve, and then for the topper I only did one ring. Okay, but you have to add it, you have to keep adding it. Okay, but once you add this on, you are going to repeat the process. That's why I'm telling you guys to look at your inspiration photo, because I can tell you what I did, but I was doing it based upon my inspiration photo. Okay. And my inspiration had the black on the top and the bottom of the ring. It had the black underneath the icing portion. It had the black on the rim of the topper. You know what I'm saying? And it had the black on the cherry and the little dollops on top of it. So yeah, okay. You also could like roll out your clay ahead of time, so that way all you have to do is add it with your glue. That would kind of save you some time as well. But it is really basically up to you. I do want to let you know that the hot glue does not hold this permanently. Okay, it is just temporarily while you get ready to seal it with epoxy. Okay, but you're gonna just press it under. Like again, you don't want there to be a separation between the icing ring and your black, so just want to make sure that you're pressing that as close to the icing ring as you can, and then once you are done with that portion, you are going to seal it in with epoxy. I mean, really and truly, that's the only other step I can kind of talk you through. That's the best thing about these, is that everything is kind of pre-made. It's so funny because I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, I'm basically doing like adult dollhouse furniture. I was like, I feel like this sculptry has kind of like helped to heal my inner child, which is really cool. I get to make things. And the funny thing is, before sculptry there was tapestry, and I would have all of these thoughts in my head for toppers, and I'm like, oh man, I got to figure out how to build the base for this. And then I got into 3D and I was like, oh, I would look on Pinterest and like, oh my gosh, how can I do that? Oh man, that's so cool. That would look so cool on a tumbler. And then I got into 3D printing and I'm like, now I can make it. So if you're interested in purchasing one of my sculpted tumblers, I actually just launched my new website called Sculpted Sips. Nope, Sculpted Swigs. Or yeah, Sculpted Swigs. .com, or you can look on Etsy at Sculpted Swigs, and you'll see them up there. Okay, so and I'd love to make something for you, or if you have a design in mind that you would like for me to make a tumbler, I would love to make a custom order for you. Okay, so let's talk epoxy. Everyone has their preference. I'm not affiliated with any specific brand of epoxy. I will just say, whenever you're using 3D, a lot of questions that I get are, how many layers of epoxy do you use? If you're using a 3D tumbler sleeve, I'm going to say a minimum of two layers of epoxy you are going to need. But I really would emphasize that a lot of that is going to be dependent upon the type of glitter you used, and how well, it's sealed, the epoxy that I am using has a very nice viscosity. And I honestly, if I'm being truthful, after the first layer, like, it was solid. Like, it's thick enough that I didn't have to really do a second layer. I did a second layer just because I do sand my stuff. But I did a very thin second layer. Okay. But I guess you're gonna have to think about that with your brand of resin, and see if you have a thick layer, you have a thicker epoxy or not. Okay. Um, and I'm using a brush, guys, but honestly, as long as you have a gloved hand, you should be fine. Just be careful not to get it through the straw hole, because we're really trying not to have to worry about, um, you know, messing with anything on the inside. Okay. And that is it. Okay. I am actually using a fast curing resin. I actually love the fact that it has a blue tint, because I have noticed with resin brands in the past, um, those that don't have the bluish tint, your the yellowing factor happens sooner. I believe what everyone is saying is that all epoxies yellow, um, but some yellow faster than others. I haven't experienced this brand yellowing, but I also will say that it is going to depend on your climate. It's gonna a lot of different factors play into account. So when everybody asks me, what epoxy do you use? How many layers of epoxy? What's your favorite brand? I cannot tell you that. Number one, because what I might like, you may hate. This particular brand does not have a smell. Brands that I've had in the past have a very, pungent smell. But you may get this brand and you may be like, oh my gosh, I couldn't stand it. It smells so bad. So that's why I'm like, really and truly, you got to do what's best for you. In this day and time, guys, you guys are so blessed, because back in the day, honestly, there was like one brand, one or two brands that we kind of stuck with. Now there's so many different ones. I back in the day went to Michael's and got Alumilite, and I honestly would still get Alumilite. It was good, although a lot of people say that it just really had a bad smell. It didn't affect me. Okay, so play around with it, get some samples. And if you're in the market for a new epoxy brand, a lot of the epoxy brands have samples where you don't have to order a gallon or half a gallon. You can just get a sample. Okay. And so here I applied it to my topper. I'm placing it on my silicone mat. After a little while, I'm gonna lift it up and I'm gonna replace it on my silicone mat. And that's just because the epoxy is going to kind of pour down, and I didn't want to glob to kind of cut off once it was done. Okay, so here I'm just adding it onto my tumbler. Nothing fancy, kind of doing the same process. You do want to watch out for pooling, Pooling. Epoxy is going to it can kind of glob together. So just be mindful of that. If you find that there's some epoxy globbing together, just go ahead and take your finger and wipe it away. But go ahead and seal all of this glitter in, and make sure you seal that Model Magic. Okay, really quick. In the past, when I did this cartoon cake without the sleeve, in my last mentorship group, we noticed that the Model Magic never really like got hard, right? It was still very like squishy. As I press on my Model Magic here on my tumbler, it is nice and hard. Okay, so also keep that in mind with the resin you use, and the amount of Model Magic you use. Okay, it should be hard. Okay, not squishy to the touch. Okay, but yeah, once you seal your entire cup with epoxy, you are going to get ready to add your topper to your lid. Okay, so I'm going to go over that now, but other than that, again, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, so you see that I'm just taking my electric drill and I'm just sanding the epoxy that pulled. You do not have to use an electric sander, guys. You could use a sanding block, but you do want to go ahead and make sure that it's smooth, okay? And once you sand it and make sure it's smooth, you do want to go ahead and spray it with alcohol and then wipe off any extra debris. Once you wipe off any debris, you are going to sand your lid, okay? And that's just the top part. You're going to sand that, and then you're going to clean that again with alcohol to make sure that you don't have any debris on there, okay? And then I'm going to be using Bob's 15 mid-cure epoxy to go ahead and adhere this topper to my lid. There is a 5-minute cure, a Bob's 5-minute cure that a lot of my members use. You could use that. Okay, I don't have that one, so I'm using 15 mid cure. But you're gonna just mix a little bit of A, like a little squeeze of A and a squeeze of B. You do not need a lot of Bob's epoxy to add this on, okay? You're just going to use this to set it. And then we are going to seal this again with a very, very thin layer of epoxy. That's their second layer. So total, I used, I sounded so weird saying that. It's a total, but in total, I used 2 layers of epoxy. 2 layers of epoxy. Again, that is definitely because of the brand of epoxy that I used. The thickness is, it's not thin, okay? So that played a role, okay? But after you finish and you've sealed everything in, you are going to sit back and take a look at this beauty that you made and worked hard on, and you are going to take some pictures, and then you're going to tag me on social media saying, join her club, join the Sculpistry Club. I would appreciate that. Okay, remember, we have 7 open slots available, but even if you don't want to join, come on over to Sculpt and Sip on Facebook, and we are going to be having some fun in there, and that group is at no cost. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give me a like, give me a comment, and those of you that do like and comment, thank you for supporting me. Those of you that watch in silence, thank you for supporting me as well. I love my introverts and my extroverts. But other than that, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And I will see you on the next tutorial. I'm going to try to do them every week on Tuesdays. But if I don't do them every week on Tuesdays, they will be every other week and still on Tuesdays. And I will keep you posted. Okay. But thank you again for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay. Bye, guys.